Hi there, it's Karen from Vintage Style Journals. Just wanted to show you another one of my lovely journals. Obviously this is going to be similar to some of the others that I've shown you, but just with a few different beautiful bits and pieces inside. Now this tassel here is made from all the fabrics that are inside the journal, whether they're made from pockets or otherwise, as well as a little bit of seam binding. This here, this gorgeous lace, came off a wedding dress, and there's so much of it on there, and I have got reams and reams of this, so I'll be using it throughout my journals in the future. And another beautiful wax seal. All I've done is I've put a little bit of baby's breath in the middle of that and used the plain wax seal that I have just to keep it simple, I suppose. And again, one of my lovely shabby painted roses on the front here of this glassine bag. Front there. There's nothing actually in this bag, I don't think, because it's a front cover. And this beautiful, I think it's a little bee, but I've attached a bead to it just to make it a little bit more special. And I found that in a country old wares place where there was a big box of detached jewellery, really gorgeous vintage old pieces. So I snagged it and thought, well, thank you God, this is wonderful. I've got more vintage bits and pieces to put in my journals. And I've just popped it on the front there just to add a little bit of more of a decorative touch there. Beautiful, again, more vintage bead. And this lovely piece here came from quite a large tablecloth that I've chopped up and using in my journals at the moment. Just use it as a little bit of an extra to decorate the front there. So I'll open her up. Inside I've painted some of the bits and pieces that are in here, and this is just a very simple journal tag. Again, this is the same piece of fabric that came from this actual I think it was a tablecloth or a table runner or something. Just got so many pieces out of it, and I've painted another shabby rose on there and added some extra lace just for further decoration for whoever buys this. And this beautiful piece here is a vintage lace tablecloth, or part of it, not the whole thing, because I've got so much of that left and I'm going to be using it in all my journals. Again, just another little bit of handmade paper with some vintage paper. Well, it's actually not vintage paper. I keep saying vintage and I don't know why. I'm going mad, I think. I'll have to agree with my hubby. Just tea stain paper, just a little piece of paper to add into your handbag. If you're not going to be taking a whole journal with you, you can just take a little notelet with you. And again, these gorgeous little rosebuds that I've pulled off quite a long thread of that. I've got quite a lot of that, so I cut it up and just added it to a little bit of gauze here that's been tea stained. And this, obviously this paper here is an envelope, and that'll open out, and I've got just another pink journal card in there, just like this one. And this little sticker is one of my rose stickers that I sell on my Etsy shop, and I've just popped it there because we are a rose theme journal. This beauty is just a little vellum envelope that I made, and inside it's just not a wax seal, it's actually a glue seal made from a glue gun. So if you don't have wax, just use your glue. You can even colour your glue, add a little spot of paint and mix it up. And I've put another glue seal on the front there with a little, whatever they are, dragonflies. Little dragonfly there just to decorate the top of that. Okay, this here, I absolutely love this. This is another one of my shabby roses I've painted on here. But this is just beautiful pianola paper. And I've created a triple pocket out of that. So I've sewn that, and then I've actually glued this washi tape down here so that it stays put. You can see the back of the paper. It's all kind of a gorgeous vintage tone, and inside the pockets I've actually placed a few things. I'll just see if I can show you the actual pocket itself. Just inside there's a couple of pockets there, and inside these pockets I've put some journal tags that I've made. Just a couple of these tags. They've got gorgeous crackle on them, as well as the paint and that beautiful crazy sort of thread, novelty yarn I think. And in the back of that I've got a journal card. Look at that, the coffee staining on that's beautiful. And I've also put a little hand painted tab on that one. I'll just pop those back in there. And this one obviously opens out, so you've got the writing area here. And over here, I think this one belonged in there. So it's just more paper that's vellum. It's such a beautiful quality vellum, this one. So I've just added that in just as a little something special. And again, another one of my hand-painted Coco Chanel perfume bottles. That just goes in there. And there's some more perfume bottles here. I bought these online, but I didn't know what to do with them. So I'm putting them in the journal. So they'll go in here with the Chanel bottle. Again, my design, painted designs, and they'll just go in there. Again, this is a Rosalicious type of book, because I've actually put roses everywhere. And each little piece is not a print. It's a little individual hand-painted piece, again on the other side here. And another one of those lovely little vintage wallpaper notelets on the back of it, just like that. Gorgeous rose stamp, just to keep in with the rose theme. And I absolutely adore this. I think it's one of the most gorgeous little rose paintings. So that's actually been painted onto the surface of the paper. Beautiful old lace, and this just a little envelope really that's got some vellum inside, but I love that wax seal. It's just beautiful, gorgeous baby pink. I would call that a Chanel pink. And they're just little notelets with individual pieces of the painted rose on there. I'm just probably not going to be able to get this back in a quick time. I'm trying to flip through this very quickly because I don't want to absolutely bore you to death. And that'll go back in there. Again, these gorgeous little bits. This is a vintage piece of cotton fabric lace, and I've just turned it over rather than snip it off. I love this here. So there it is, like a little skirt. Again, more of those roses, and a couple more of heavily coffee stained journal cards with hand painted roses on. I want to just show you this little baby here. It's a little glue dot. What I've done is I've used my hot glue gun, just squirted out a little bit of glue onto some baking paper, and I've pressed down one of those lovely little metallic dragonflies into it, just to cover off the actual cotton that I use to sew my journals with. Again, another envelope. Inside there's a card, but it's just beautiful textured stencil on there that's been painted over. Again, another textured wallpaper journal card. I saw this, put this one in the other journal. Some of these things will be repeated in my journals. I tend to make up quite a few as I'm making them, just so that I can put them in future journals. So lucky person who buys this will get those. Again, just some journal cards that are just journal tags rather, just quick handmade ones. Another one there. So there's twins, and this is a lovely old piece of doily. I use a lot of doilies and vintage fabrics in my work. I just, I don't tend to use new things, and the things that are in here I typically make myself, so I know that they're not going to be everywhere. I want to show you this. This is a wax moulding. I've got a little rose mould spray of roses rather, and I use wax in it so that you don't actually have to have a wax seal to make some beautiful little decorations for your journals. So you can find these at places like, not so much Spotlight, but places like scrapbooking places that sell beautiful little moulds. Yeah, you can get them online anywhere, I suppose, but I've used that to put here. I just also want to show you another, where are we? This one here, I've actually made with wax, but I put it into one of the IOD moulds. They've got moulds for edging type moulds, and so I just poured wax into it and a part of it and cut it up and I'm going to make earrings out of this. So you might want to even go over and have a look at their site, the IOD sisters. They've got some interesting stuff on their site, but I like their moulds and the stamps, and I do use them in my work. This is probably the colour that they came out because I left them in the oven a little bit long, but I like the way it came out actually. So, and just another one. So I'll be making earrings out of those, but you could use those molds and use them for your journals or your cards. You don't have to use wax. You can just use things like just the moulding clay. Again, another piece of vintage doily there. Just try to stay in shot here. I've just got a few thick pieces of heavily tea-stained paper. And this one might be coffee stained, I think, but I've printed these designs. This is my logo design. Vintage lady, vintage little girl, and I've just used them as a little bit of note paper just to add into the pocket of the journal there. So you don't always have to write onto the pages. You can just write onto the little pieces of paper that's in them. Again, another one of those little wallpaper notelets, and this is vintage, and it's vintage paper. And that's just a hand-dyed piece of doily there. Again, another one of those lovely embossed wallpaper tags. They're pretty firm because I've attached them to card, just so that they're easier to use if you're going to be writing on the back of them or using them as gift cards. This is a little pocket that I've made. Just out of some really gorgeous tea-stained paper, and I've painted a darker rose on this one, and I've just attached a little finding in there, and I've made this beautiful little funky earring to go on there just to embellish it. Yeah, that's that. Here I've just attached some music paper and some tea-stained paper just for extra journaling, and again a couple of those receipts that I showed you in my previous journal. I've just attached them there with the bulb pins just so that they're there and you can write extra things on them. Again, a beautiful little card that I made, a journaling card, heavily coffee stained there with vintage lace, and she's a gorgeous little design that I took off the internet, and I've crowned her with some little diamantes and some lace. Here is a little head covering crown, and this, I love this lace. I just wish I knew where I got it from. It's just beautiful. But that's a beautiful little journal card in there. That can be used as a gift or just used yourself as a journaling card, or even a bookmark, a large bookmark. Again, I've just really attached this to the lace here and sewn it down onto this piano paper again. This is, obviously it's not a lot of writing on the piano paper, but I've still made a pocket out of that, and I've just popped a wad of vintage paper in there. Obviously there's not a lot of ephemera in my journals unless, you know, somebody orders a journal with a good amount of ephemera in it, or ask for a particular type of ephemera, then I will make it. But I tend not to put too much ephemera in, because I think you need to have room for your own creativity. But these are just little wads of paper that I've shown you earlier in the journal. Same vintage paper there. And again, a crispy glassine bag that's been beetroot stained. And this is the second part of the journal. This is the middle of the journal, and the second part with a lovely wax stamp there again. Beautiful handmade flower. There is no, I don't think there's any ephemera whatsoever here. It's purely for writing. So yeah, gorgeous vellum again. And pretty much vellum and paper just there for your writing. Alrighty, I think that's pretty much it. There's a pocket there for adding extra things, a little slip-in section there. Obviously in the bag you can put whatever you want, and that's the end of that one. That's the back of that gorgeous journal. So if you like it, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have more subscriptions. I'd love to give up my day job, to be honest, but I know that's probably not going to happen. But yeah, any comments or questions you might have, or you know, if you want to have a look at anything more or anything in particular, just drop me a note and I'll try and get it online for you. But that's this pretty journal, and she's in my Etsy shop. Thank you for watching.